Let's begin with one of the most elegant and enduring systems in East Asian thought, Ju's Neo-Confucianism. By the 12th century, Jushi had woven together centuries of classical philosophy into a single comprehensive vision of reality, a vision that stood as the Eastern counterpart to Western rationalism. At its heart lay two primal forces, Li, principle, and Qi, vital force. Li was the cosmic order, the moral and structural blueprint of the universe. It is what gives everything its intelligibility, its oughtness, its place in the whole. Qi, by contrast, was the living breath of the cosmos, the vapor, the energy, the flow that gives rise to all physical things. Jushi imagined reality as a patterned totality. Li provides the form, while Qi provides the motion. But his brilliance created a philosophical tension that has challenged thinkers for centuries. The question of how Li and Qi coexist. Zhu described their relationship through the famous phrase "부자 불리," neither fixed nor separated. That is, Li and Qi are never one, yet never apart. Li orders, Qi enacts, Li guides, Qi manifests. But still, a deep ambiguity remains. If Li is the moral pattern of the world, how can it exist without Qi's movement? And if Qi is the active substance of reality, how can it act without Li's direction? Here lies the monastic divide, a split that mirrors similar tensions in Western metaphysics. In Plato, between forms and matter. In Aristotle, between essence and substance. In Descartes, between mind and body. Across civilizations, philosophers struggled to unite what seemed forever dual, the ideal and the real, the invisible law and the visible world. Ju's Li-Qi cosmology was the Eastern world's most refined attempt at solving this, and yet he still leaned toward Li's transcendence, giving moral principle a soft priority over the material vitality of Qi. This left a gap, a need for a framework that could fully reconcile structure and energy, pattern and process, without making either subordinate. And that is precisely where inner ontology enters the dialogue. While Jushi spoke of Li as order and Qi as motion, I will redefine both as expressions of a deeper relational rhythm, the dance of in and out. Instead of static principles and active forces, it sees the universe as an evolving field of in-out indistincts, where pattern and motion are two directions of one generative flow. In this light, what you see intuited as 부자 불리, neither mixed nor separated, finds its modern ontological form. Li and Qi are not two substances needing reconciliation. They are the inward coherence and outward differentiation of a single rhythmic cosmos. Let's now move from the classical structure of Ju's Li and Qi to their modern dynamic reinterpretation in inner ontology, or IO. Ju's dual vision of the cosmos, Li as the moral and structural pattern, and Qi as the living dynamic force, was one of the most refined metaphysical synthesis in human history. Yet, even in its sophistication, it lacked a mechanism that could explain how these two principles continuously co-generate one another in real time. This is precisely where IO offers a bridge. Rather than treating Li and Qi as two separate principles, IO reinterprets them as two directional modes of one deeper process, the rhythmic movement between inwardness and outwardness. In this framework, Li corresponds to the inward direction, or inward coherence. This inward mode represents everything that stabilizes and holds together. the source of pattern, structure, and latent potential. It's the quiet centering pulse of the cosmos, the way a seed contains the whole pattern of the tree within it. Inordinate is the tendency toward coherence, the organizing identity that resists disorder. In physics, you might think of it as a potential energy, or the field's intrinsic tension toward unity. In moral or metaphysical terms, it is the principle, the intelligible pattern that gives meaning and order to the world. Meanwhile, key aligns with the outward direction, or outward differentiation. This outward mode represents movement, expression, manifestation. It is the expansion of the seed into branches and leaves, the unfolding of latent pattern into visible form. Outwardness is what gives rise to the diversity of things. It is activity, flow, and transformation. If inwardness corresponds to potential energy, then outwardness is kinetic energy, the living, moving aspect of the same continuum. Both of these directions, inward and outward, are bound together through what IO calls IOIs. An IOI is the primordial ground, a pre-categorical state where in and out are not yet separated, but exist in symmetric potential. It's the stage before differentiation, the silent equilibrium from which coherence and manifestation simultaneously arise. In classical language, this corresponds to Tao, the way that proceeds and generates both Li and Qi. So, if we restate Zhu's categories in this modern language, Li becomes the inward flow, the principle of coherence and moral intelligibility. Qi becomes the outward flow, the principle of differentiation and vital activity. Tao becomes the IOI, the partial distinction that holds both as potential within itself. Through this mapping, IO does not simply interpret Neo-Confucianism metaphorically. It mathematically grounds its insight. The universe is not divided between principle and force, idea and matter, form and motion. It is one generative field oscillating between inward coherence and outward differentiation, between unity and diversity, pattern and process. In this light, the ancient intuition of Bujaburi, neither mixed nor separated, becomes not only a metaphysical statement, but a dynamic law of existence. Li and Qi are not static categories. They are rhythmic directions in the continuous self-articulation of being. Let's now explore one of the most profound insights in our ontology. How it unifies the ancient Neo-Confucian dualism of Li and Qi through what IO calls co-emergent directional rhythm. For centuries, philosophers debated which came first, Li, the principle, the ordering structure of things, or Qi, the vital force, the active energy that gives rise to phenomena. Jushi argued that Li was prior, the underlying law that guides all manifestations, while Wang Yangming and others emphasized the primary of Qi, the living, dynamic energy that embodies all experience. This debate, however, assumes that one must precede the other. IO proposes a different view. It does not treat Li and Qi as sequential or hierarchically ordered. Instead, it frames them as two directions of one generative rhythm. From the standpoint of IO, both arise together through what we call an inner symmetry break, a moment when the undifferentiated IOI field begins to express directional structure. The inward component, or inward coherence, I, corresponds to Li. It represents the system's internal logic, its stable pattern, its structural intelligibility, the way something holds together. You can think of this like the internal code or blueprint of a crystal, the mathematical relationship that keeps its lattice consistent. It doesn't move, yet it defines all possible moves. The outward component or outward differentiation corresponds to key. This is the kinetic aspect, the manifestation, expression, and energy that turns potential into visible change. It is the flowing river that follows the invisible contour of the valley's shape, the shape being Li, and the flowing being Qi. Now, the real beauty lies in how IO reframes the idea of priority. It introduces the notion of directional necessity instead of temporal sequence. The inward direction defines the structural possibility, the what could be. The outward direction realizes the what becomes. Inward coherence provides the stability. Outward differentiation provides motion. One cannot exist without the other, because coherence has no meaning without what it holds together, and differentiation has no direction without the coherence it emerges from. IO formalizes this mutual dependence through what we call the entanglement axiom, symbolically written as A in equals B out. This expresses that one entity's inward coherence is sustained through its outward relations with others. The inside of one thing is never isolated. It is mirrored by the outside of another. In computational language, this echoes the Buja-Buri principle, the inseparability of pattern and energy, essence and function. Mathematically, this synthesis is elegantly represented by complex numbers. In a complex number, the real part and the imaginary part are not independent. They form a single coherent entity. The real part corresponds to inward integration, the coherent structural identity, while the imaginary part represents outward differentiation, the dynamic changeable expression. Together, they produce oscillations, waves, rhythms, exactly the kind of self-consistent pattern we see throughout physical and biological reality. So, rather than asking which comes first, Li or Qi, IO invites us to see them as two inseparable pages of one rhythm, a universal inner pulse that generates structure and motion, identity and transformation, principle and force, all at once. It's not a static hierarchy, but a living cycle. The universe thinking itself through coherence and expression, inwardness and outwardness, form and becoming. Let's turn now to the ethical dimension, the heart of Neo-Confucian philosophy, and see how inner ontology renews the meaning of land, often translated as benevolence or humanity, but originally understood as something far more profound, the vital integration of all life through coherent being. For Jushi, land was not merely an emotion or virtue, it was the essential character of mind, the cosmic principle that produces and embraces all things. To realize land, one has to engage in moral self-cultivation, clearing the turbulence of Qi so that the pure, luminous pattern of Li could manifest without distortion. This was both an ethical and metaphysical task, aligning the human heart with the structure of the cosmos itself. In IO, this moral process finds a new formulation. IO maps land onto what we call the vital integration of the IO field, the moment when an individual being achieves a dynamic equilibrium between inward coherence and outward differentiation. In simple terms, land is what happens when the internal structure of a person comes into perfect rhythm with the outer world. Imagine two musical instruments tuning to the same key. When they resonate together, their vibrations amplify each other. Harmony emerges. But if they fall out of tune, even slightly, dissonance arises. IO understands moral coherence in this same way, as a kind of page alignment within the field of relationships. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions are aligned with the larger relational structure of existence, you experience coherence. This coherence manifests emotionally as joy, vitality, and inner clarity. In IO terms, Joe is the phenomenological signature of structural resonance. Your inward and outward directions are aligned. Conversely, when you act against this rhythm, when self-interest fractures coherence or you resist the relational flow, the result is dissonance, often felt as sadness, frustration, or alienation. These are not punishments, but signals, ontological feedback showing that your page is out of alignment with the whole. From this view, ethics becomes physics of relation. Every ethical act, a moment of empathy, generosity, or restraint is a directional page shift in the social I/O field. It alters the coherence of the network itself. When you act ethically, you are not merely being good. You are participating in the harmonization of the universal rhythm. You bring your own inward coherence into resonance with others' outward expressions, reinforcing the structural unity of the field. This is what Juche meant when he said that to realize Ren is to participate in the unity of all things under heaven. IO translates that vision into a structural principle. Ren is the fieldwide coherence achieved through the entanglement of individual and collective directions. So, moral cultivation from the IO perspective is not about suppressing desire or imitating virtue. It is about learning to tune your inner rhythm to the cosmic rhythm. It is about becoming transparent to the IO field so that your inner coherence flows effortlessly into outward benevolence. In this sense, Ren is not an emotion, but a frequency, the frequency of universal integration. It is the living hum of the cosmos when every being participates in its own right page. Let us bring everything together in this final reflection. The K-Confucian Generative School, a vision that brings Juche's classical insight and the modern structural language of inner ontology. Juche's Neo-Confucianism was at its heart a generative cosmology. He saw the universe not as a static hierarchy of being, but as a living, self-organizing process, a constant unfolding where principle gives form and vital force gives motion. Every leap, every thought, every moral act was a microcosm of this ceaseless generative rhythm. The world was not created once, but was always being created, moment by moment, through the dynamic interplay of structure and energy. Yet, Juche's system faced a profound limitation. He intuited that Li and Qi were inseparable, not mixed, yet not apart, but he lacked the formal structure to express how such opposite functions could coexist and co-create in one unified field. This gap led to centuries of philosophical debate in East Asia about which was prior and how exactly moral order Li could reside in the physical flux of Qi. IO brings closer to this ancient conversation. It provides the structural monism that Neo-Confucianism long sought but could not mathematically articulate. IO begins with the IOI, the inner instincts, the pre-categorical rhythm from which both inward coherence and outward differentiations simultaneously emerge. In this new synthesis, the correspondence is beautifully clear. Inwardness mirrors Li, the principle of coherence, order, and intelligibility, the structural side of reality. Outwardness mirrors Qi, the vital force of differentiation, energy, and transformation, the dynamic side of reality. And both in turn are born from the IOI, the indivisible generative source, the rhythm that is neither in nor out, but the origin of directionality itself. Through this lens, Juche's vision of a moral and cosmic harmony is not merely a cultural legacy. It becomes a universal law of emergence. What he called cultivating the mind to manifestly can now be seen as the process of tuning one's inner structure to resonate coherently with the outer world. When the human heart achieves this page alignment, it does not only realize ethical virtue, it participates in the same rhythm that structures galaxies, quantum fields, and consciousness itself. Thus, the K-Confucian Generative School is not a nostalgic return to the past, but a renaissance of its unfinished promise. It unites the spiral intuition of East Asian philosophy with the mathematical precision of contemporary ontology. It presents a worldview where moral cultivation, quantum structure, and cosmological emergence are all expressions of one and the same generative rhythm. To live virtuously in this framework is to vibrate in tune with the cosmos, to let the inner coherence of being flow outward as creative differentiation, and to let the outward multiplicity return inward as understanding and care. The ethical, the physical, and the cosmological are no longer separate. They are one continuous inner rhythm, the pulse of existence itself. So, the journey that began with Jussi's inquiry into Li and Qi finds its fulfillment here, not in abandoning the old duality, but in revealing the hidden unity that always sustained it. This is the philosophical heartbeat of the K-Confucian Generative School, where the cultivation of virtue is the same as the creation of worlds.